Skirt, skirt. Told you we always been ready. I don't need people that's petty, that weigh on me heavy while I'm being steady. I need a record with Felly. We get it bouncing like Betty's, I feel like I'm Nelly. Don't bring the beef like a deli. It's leaving I levy, no sleeping on me like I'm Freddy. Chris Breeze, how I do, hit him with the moves. Left hand step back, ballin' like I'm Coos. All faith, God's plan, you just gotta choose. God slaps, nothing left to prove. Y'all gotta leave me alone. Lately I've been in my zone. Told them no cap like I fitted, but lately the flows have been straight off the dome. I feel like I'm MVP, like my name Patty Mahomes. If it ain't about money, don't hit on my phone, cause lately I've been in my zone.
Hello, welcome to the Cowboys Show, hosted by Ben Carey and Nick Gronerad, combining expert human opinions with cutting-edge simulation models to help you arrive at the best picks each week. Inside Edge Community. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to today's stream and happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone's having a wonderful day so far. Got some exciting plans, whether you're hanging out with the family, hanging out with some friends, hanging out with yourself. No matter what, it's going to be an exciting day of football. So as you can tell, Ben is not here at the moment. He is got a couple other work-related things to take care of before he joins us. He should be on at about 9:30, I would say. But we've got 3 games to talk about for today. We've got Chicago and Detroit. We've got Las Vegas and Dallas, and we've got Buffalo and New Orleans. And man, oh man, I think that over the last couple of years, the NFL has to regret choosing Detroit as one of these teams that gets a Thanksgiving Day game every year. The Lions have been bad for a long time, but especially this year, they are awful. The Chicago Bears, their opponent today, I don't know if the Bears are that much better. And that's kind of reflected in the numbers that we're seeing in this game. So we've got Detroit at home as only a 3-point underdog, despite being winless on the year and not really being close in most of those losses. So the Lions are 0-9-1, just that one tie against Pittsburgh. They actually did keep it within 3 last week on the road against Cleveland as well. But aside from that, it's been a rough season for the Lions. And what's up, Hurricane Chris? Speaking of the Lions, our resident Lions fan says, "Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. Appreciate what you do, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate everyone who's here. I really, really do, from the bottom of my heart, appreciate and I'm thankful for the community that we have at Cowboys." But let's I guess start talking about this game. The Lions and the Bears. So again, Lions 3-point underdogs at home, over under set at 41.5. And I think that the big thing that is interesting and important to note for both of these teams is the quarterback injuries, issues, whatever you want to call it. So the Lions today have Jared Goff back. So Jared Goff is healthy. Jared Goff starting for the Lions. The Tim Boyle experiment lasted 1 week. It wasn't the worst thing they've ever done. The Lions have done a lot of bad things, both recently and historically. But I think that the Lions are going to be better for having Jared Goff back in the lineup today. On the Bears side of things, Andy Dalton getting the start over Justin Fields. Justin Fields took a hit last week in the game against Baltimore and cracked a couple of his ribs. It didn't look like all that big of a hit, but that's just kind of just the way the NFL works. So we got Andy Dalton in at quarterback for the Bears, Jared Goff in at quarterback for the Lions, and the model sees this game as basically a toss-up. We've got Detroit taking it 19.75 to 19.61. So a super, super close game. Detroit eking out a win. But really, I'd be remiss to call it anything other than a coin flip. As far as the total is concerned, the model leans under. Got a total of around 39.5 or so. And I think that that's actually my favorite look, spread and total-wise, in this game. Both of the teams' defenses have been playing reasonably well. Again, the Lions the last 2 weeks even have allowed 16 to Pittsburgh and 13 to Cleveland. Those offenses are definitely not firing at all cylinders right now, but holding any NFL team to below 20 2 weeks in a row. The defense is playing the best it has all season. And on the Bears side of things, they did play a backup last week in Tyler Huntley for Baltimore, but again, they held the Baltimore offense to just 16 points as well. So I do kind of like the under here, especially with the two new quarterbacks coming in. But I think that the prop market, and I hope Ben has some input on this prop market when he shows up. But I think that the prop market is the spot to attack here. So let's go ahead and run through some of the props. And also, because we have about an hour and a half, I guess at this point, like an hour and 10 minutes to get through the 3 games, gonna go through these a little bit faster than we do for the regular picks and props streams. We're fitting 3 games into the same time frame that we usually do for just one game. But starting off with passing props, moving over to DraftKings like we usually do. We've got Andy Dalton over under 224.5, Jared Goff over under 214.5. And no, Austin, Ben did not sleep through his alarm. Ben has a couple other things to take care of before we start. Ben is awake. Ben is working. He will be joining us on the stream in about 10 minutes. So both of these guys, I mean, they have arms. I don't know how many nice things I can say about them beyond that. Jared Goff this season, I mean, he's been up and down, mostly down. He's actually hit this number pretty much every game he's started and finished, but that's entirely due to volume. Just the fact that the Lions are losing in literally every game. Jared Goff has to throw the ball all the time down the stretch. And that's why he hits this number. So, I mean, last time out against Pittsburgh, I think that was, I don't know if he got hurt in the middle of that game and had to leave it. No, he didn't. But he had only 114 yards in that game. But besides that, he's only been under this number twice and has actually been above 200 yards in every single game this year, aside from that one against Pittsburgh. And I do think he was playing hurt in that Pittsburgh game in Week 10. But I think that the Jared Goff, just by the nature of this number being so low, the over kind of has to be a look. On the Andy Dalton side of things, it's actually, I think, kind of the same. So Dalton, we don't really have a whole lot of sample size for him this year. He started 2 games, got hurt pretty early on in one of them, and then came on in relief last week after Justin Fields left. But he's been decent in his small sample size. I mean, he threw for 201 yards last week in like half of a game against Baltimore. A lot of that coming on a big touchdown to Marquis Goodwin. It is important to note there. 206 for him in Week 1 against the Rams as well. So I think I'd want to fade the Dalton passing prop. I think it's quite game flow dependent. I think if the Bears get up, they're going to look to take the ball out of his hands as much as possible and utilize the running backs. So I think there's a lot of potential there game flow wise to really ruin a Dalton over. And on the flip side, I think that if it's a close game or if the Bears for whatever reason do have to be coming from behind, I think that this Dalton number could fly over. So I kind of want to fade Andy Dalton today. On the running back side of things, I think this might have my favorite prop of the day. But starting with the Lions, we've got Deandre Swift over under 69.5. Model has him at 66.5. I believe that Jamal Williams is playing today for the first time in a couple weeks. Let me double check that. See if I can get any kind of update. Oh, yeah. Jamal Williams played last week too. So no shit, he's playing today. But that is a little bit of a detriment for Deandre Swift on the ground. He was really, for a few weeks, the guy in that running attack. But Jamal Williams, now that he's back and healthy, did pick up 11 carries last week. I'm a little surprised we're not seeing a Jamal Williams rushing number here on DraftKings. Maybe on some other books we are. But Deandre Swift has really, the only good thing he's had for most of the year is volume. So last week he did have an excellent game against Cleveland, 14 carries for 136 yards. But beyond that, the only other time he's gone over this number all season was in that game that went to overtime against Pittsburgh, where he had 33 carries for 130 yards. And I don't think that Deandre Swift is going to have anywhere close to 33 carries this week. That's just not going to happen. So I don't know why this number is so high, if I'm being completely honest. And I think that under 69.5 for Deandre Swift has to be my lean on his rushing prop. Also, as we're going through, I know the conversation's a little awkward with just me talking and no Ben here. So if you guys have anything at all that you're interested in this game, let me know, and we can all talk through everything together. On the Bears side of things, we have Andy Dalton over under 8.5, David Montgomery over under 79.5. So Andy Dalton, he's a guy who, despite impressions, actually does a decent job running the ball. In his 2 starts earlier this year, he had 2 carries for 13 yards and 2 carries for 25 yards, which are both over 8.5. So those are overs on this number. At the same time, though, what we've seen a lot this year, which I think makes a lot of sense from different teams, is that if one of the quarterbacks is hurt, the other guy is just not going to run the ball because it puts himself in harm's way, and you don't want to be in a situation where whoever the hell the Bears' third starter is, or the Bears' third quarterback is going to get into this game. You just don't want that. So I don't think Andy Dalton's going to be running the ball a whole lot. Not that he does a whole lot anyways, but I think that Dalton's not going to have the ball in his hand. So definitely not an over on that rushing prop. I don't want to take the under just because it is in that territory where one kind of free scramble at any point during the game can kill it. David Montgomery, though, is a guy that I'm really interested in. And Novita, first time chat, welcome to the stream. Thanks for checking it out. Ben's here. Gonna address your comment in just a second, but I'm going to get Ben into the call. Benjamin.
1 second.
Gonna turn this turkey off. I have a picture of a turkey up where your camera's supposed to go.
Yeah, it doesn't look good.
No, it looks much better now.
And that turkey's gonna get slaughtered today.
Yeah.
Ham or turkey? Is that even an argument?
I on Thanksgiving, no.
Yeah,
in general, yeah.
People are trying to be all progressive, and they're like, ham. I'm like, guys, come on.
No, you have a nice ham on Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah.
So Ben, we're talking about the Bears and the Lions. Model has the actual game total is basically a coin flip, 19.7 to 19.6. So it's technically a Lions, I guess a Lions cover and a Lions outright win, barely. and an under. My personal lean is the under. Do you have a lean that you'd like to throw up, spread or total wise, in this game?
This pains me to say this, but Lions?
Lions? Question mark.
It seems like every Thanksgiving, I think the Lions are gonna play well and win, and then they don't, or they don't even cover. I mean, do we have any numbers on that? Like,
I'm sure they're out there.
It's got to be, yeah. It can't be good because I can just think of the last 2 or 3 where they just come out flat, and then you're like, why do the Lions get to play? I mean, I know it's a traditional thing, but man, they should one year say, if you guys don't win, you can't play on Thanksgiving anymore. Maybe they would tank.
Yeah, I mean that's how
they don't want to play.
That's how I open up the stream, is saying like the NFL has to regret their decision.
Yeah.
Of making the Lions one of the teams that plays.
Do players even want to play on Thanksgiving? I doubt it.
I don't know. I mean, you know some NFL players. You can ask them.
Yeah, I should ask Jordan. I don't know if Jordan ever had to play, but I would guess they don't because you're just away from your family, right?
It would probably be cool to do once, because it is like a unique primetime game. But after that, the novelty wears off.
So Nick, are we doing a deeper dive or just kind of like an intermediate on each game since there's 3?
Yeah, so we're doing intermediate. I think the plan should be to finish up by 12:30 Eastern.
Okay.
Which is when
the
first game kicks off. So that gives us, starting from 9 our time, about half an hour for each game, and our half an hour for this game is basically done.
Okay, cool. I intentionally missed this ugly game.
Yeah, you left me to my own devices.
I do like Deandre Swift over on some of his props.
Oh,
I think last game. What, you were saying under?
I just said I love the Deandre Swift rushing under. It's just way too high with Jamal Williams back.
Well, it was more passing because I know last week
I haven't got to receiving yet.
Okay, perfect.
All right, but first, we're talking about David Montgomery is what we were talking about as you joined in. And I actually kind of like the over for David Montgomery. And there's a couple reasons for that. One, the Lions against running backs. I mean, and part of this is due to volume, but they allow 115 yards a game rushing to running backs and like 4.4 yards per carry. He had over 100 in week 1 against this same Lions team. And I think that Andy Dalton's not a guy that you want throwing the ball 40 times a game. That's not how the Bears are going to win. The Bears are going to win by grinding out first downs on the ground. And I think that David Montgomery, fully healthy, is in line for 20-plus carries. And I think that the 80.5 or 79.5 or whatever is a good number.
I agree. I think they've been trying to do the same thing with Fields. The problem or the difference between Fields and Andy Dalton is Andy Dalton is going to run the ball 10, 12 times a game. Those are going to go to Montgomery.
Yeah, definitely. That's an excellent point. Also, I think that's why Montgomery had such a good game the first 2 weeks with Dalton in, and last week with Dalton in for a lot of the game as well.
Andy Dalton's going to rush for 60 yards today.
All right, so let's talk about some receiving props. And again, we got to go pretty quick here. So let's narrow in on a couple guys that we like. So Deandre Swift for you, I'm assuming. So we were all over the Deandre Swift receiving over last week, and that didn't happen. So why do you like it this week?
So I think last week, I mean, it made a lot of sense because we had a backup coming in at quarterback, and we just expected dump down passes to Swift. That didn't happen at all. But I think with Goff back, you can expect them to not even do the dump down passes, but just get Swift the ball. I mean, that's been a game plan for the Lions throughout the season, and he's been actually, one of their bright spots offensively this year. I mean, I know a lot of that will come in garbage time, at times. Like, he had a 100-yard receiving game, I think, or close to, and a lot of those yards came in the fourth quarter. But at the same time, he's going to try, or the Lions are going to try to get him the ball. So I do like the volume and the upside there.
Yeah, so the one thing that scares me about Deandre Swift just in general is the fact that Jamal Williams is back now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Jamal Williams missed a couple weeks. And those were really the weeks where Deandre Swift had his best games.
Jamal Williams was out last week?
No, Jamal Williams came back last week.
Oh, okay.
And that coincided with... Swift had a great game on the ground, but the passing volume completely disappeared. Not that Jamal Williams took any of it, because he didn't have any targets either.
Yeah.
But it's just now
Risky,
Jamal Williams is on the field for 35% of the snaps.
Mm-hmm. And this could be a game where the Lions also aren't down by 2 touchdowns, where Swift is the every down back in those situations as a receiving threat.
Completely agree. So there's one guy that I like quite a bit. And that, where is he? Is Marquis Goodwin. So Marquis Goodwin has had an interesting season. Started out with an excellent first game. By his standards, 4 catches for 45 yards. Then really, really tailed off. He was still on the field a lot, but just not really getting any targets. And then last week, 4 catches for 104 yards, including that massive touchdown against the Ravens to give the Bears the lead late in that game before the Ravens came back to take the lead back again.
That was a crazy game.
And what's the correlation in when he's having good games? It's the fact that Andy Dalton is the quarterback. Andy Dalton's a guy who's looking for Marquis Goodwin. And I think that at 37.5, he's gone over this number. He's had 4 catches. Both times Dalton has thrown a decent number of passes. He's gone over this number both times. So I think that Marquis Goodwin over 37.5 receiving yards is a play that I like. And also receptions could be a look as well. I think 2.5 minus 170, that's a little expensive. But if there's like a 3.5 somewhere, no. If it's a 3.5, I probably want the receiving yards. But I like Marquis Goodwin to have a pretty good day by his standards today. And yeah, Chris, thank you for reminding me to say that. So if you're late again, you're fired.
Oh, I wasn't late. I was just
no, I know. I was just joking.
Taking care of some biz.
Yeah, you were doing other work-related things.
That did happen one time.
Yes, that did happen one time.
We got that out of the way week 1.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god. If you guys, well, I think the video may be off now.
It's up on YouTube.
Oh, I think I was still drunk. I have to go back and see if I said anything that made sense.
Are you talking like you still today?
All my picks were spot on.
No, all your picks involved teams from the MLB. Really like the Cubs over the Tigers today.
Yeah, Ben, that's the wrong sport. I mean the Bears. The Bears is what I meant.
The Tigers, Bears. Oh my.
Nick, I made a TikTok about this game and I said, if your family makes fun of you for betting on this game, you turn it around on them and say, I'm going to make fun of you, and I think you have a problem for watching this game without any action on it.
Yeah.
It's going to be that ugly.
That's an excellent point. This game is a shit show.
Like, go take a walk, meditate, like, do something else with your time if you're not invested.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it might be more fun to hop in the oven for a few with the turkey than to subject yourself to watching this game.
Like, I could see the live over at some point being like 19.5, and it's still probably not going to hit.
Yeah, so I guess on that note, we still haven't put up leans, so I'm okay with putting up Detroit as a lean. What are your thoughts on the under, though?
Yeah, I like it. It seems pretty square, but
I don't give it. I don't give a shit how square anything is.
I know, but it just seems like too obvious. That's what I'm saying.
Model likes it, so I like it.
Yeah. No, I like it.
Yep.
You know, it'd be great if there was a tie in this game.
Yeah. Lions going to go 0-15-2.
Or like 0-9-6.
Yeah.
Something insane.
That would be remarkable. All right, so let's wrap this one up with our favorite picks for this game, and then get back on schedule and hop into the Raiders and Cowboys game. So Ben, in this first Bears and Lions game, what is your favorite bet? Because we all know you're not watching this game without any action. So what's your action?
What's the Swift receiving number at again?
Swift receiving number on DraftKings is at 34.5.
I'll go over there for Deandre Swift, over 34.5 receiving yards.
All right, and I think that I am going to go ahead and take the Marquis Goodwin over 37.5 receiving yards. So let's move on to game number 2. We've got a team that the NFL, unlike the Lions, probably does not regret setting up for always having a Thanksgiving game, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys looking good for the most part this season. They had a bit of a stinker offensively, at least last week against Kansas City. Only put up 7 points. It was a 19-7 game.
Weird game.
Very weird game. And all of those points were super early.
Yeah, it was one of those games where Nick, personally, I was on the Cowboys, as a lot of you may know, because last week I said it on the stream, was pretty confident in it, and within the first few minutes, I did not feel confident. I almost thought about hedging out of it, but I couldn't at that point. Sometimes you can just get a sense, and the Cowboys just seemed off, and then when Ezekiel was hurt, I mean, I know he came back in, and CeeDee Lamb had a concussion, like, it was kind of doomed from the start.
Yeah, and it's tough. So the Lions, like you mentioned, are not the Lions. I have the Lions page up, and I'm switching to the Cowboys page. But the Cowboys are dealing with a fair number of injuries to some pretty important pieces on offense. So their top 2 receivers are both out in this game. Amari Cooper, unvaccinated, still on the COVID list. And CeeDee Lamb, as of about half an hour ago, did not pass concussion protocol and is confirmed out for
Nick, real quick,
this game.
If the player is unvaccinated versus vaxxed, I know it shouldn't matter, but it does with the NFL, they have to pass like an additional protocol.
Well, so if you're unvaccinated and you test positive, it's a mandatory 10-day absence.
Yeah, minimum.
Minimum, yeah. And we're still within that 10-day time frame for Amari Cooper. The protocols as far as testing, once like you're not symptomatic or whatever, are the same regardless of your vaccination status. Mm-hmm. You need 2 negative tests at least 24 hours apart.
Yeah, Nick and I we went to med school. We're professionals.
Mm-hmm.
So
no. I actually
Cooper,
I do have I think she might be in town too. My aunt is a Harvard PhD, MD, infectious diseases researcher.
Oh wow, you're gonna have some interesting Thanksgiving conversation.
She has a lot of things to say about this topic, and we're gonna avoid bringing too much of that onto the stream.
That's a good idea.
But do you know what we are gonna bring onto the stream? Is the model score for this game. And to anybody who has followed along with kind of the way that the model thinks about these teams over the last few weeks, this shouldn't come as a surprise, but it actually has the Raiders winning this game. We've got a score of Vegas 25.8 to Dallas 24.2. And I actually do think that this is with CeeDee Lamb in. So with CeeDee Lamb out, we might actually have seen, I'm not going to be able to get the Sims done in time for the stream, but we might see this shift by another point or so in the Raiders' favor. Also, with the news of CeeDee Lamb being out, we're seeing the total drop. It was at 51.5 not too long ago when I got the numbers up on the stream, but we're down to 50.5 now. And with that change, we have not seen any movement in the spread. So we're looking at Dallas minus 7.5 still, despite CeeDee Lamb being out, and a total of 50.5. So Ben, what are your thoughts on these numbers?
So I've been tied up for the last 30 minutes. I didn't even know CeeDee Lamb was out until right now. I know he was questionable, so just trying to process all that. I don't necessarily know how much it really impacts the total.
I think it's a compound thing. So he's out and Cooper's out.
Yeah, the cluster. Okay, so here's why I say this. With Ezekiel Elliott and Pollard, I still think they're going to be efficient offensively, but it comes down to if they just pound the ball running, does that drain the clock even more? So I guess it should drop a little bit.
Yeah, I think kind of regardless, it has to have a negative effect. I mean, just substituting a better player for a worse player has to have some small effect on the total. It might not even be half a point for a lot of players, but it is a negative thing for the offense. But yeah, it's either throwing the ball to worse receivers or it's more running the ball. And both of those things are bad for the over. Unless you get into a situation where the offense suddenly is so bad that the Raiders can score really easily every time they have the ball. But I don't think that's what this is going to be.
Or if you just have a run game that no one can stop. But
yeah,
usually in the NFL, that's you have to get a mismatch where it's literally like a defense that's ranked bottom of the league and then a rush defense that's top. But other than that, the clock's just going to continue to tick.
Yeah. So I think this is pretty bad for the total, and I also think it's bad for the Cowboys' offense as a whole. I mean, we saw last week how that offense looked without these guys on the field. They didn't score a point after Lamb went out against Kansas City's defense. I mean, the Raiders' defense isn't great either.
I will say, though, I think something was going on with Dak. I don't know if there was an injury or if he just had a off game. But I just want to say, like, I agree with you, but I also think it was a lot to do with Dak. Dak just did not have a good, like, he was missing throws.
Yeah.
So it's twofold.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, it doesn't help that Lamb's out. Like, sitting at 7.5 for the Raiders, man, that looks appealing.
Yeah, I'm with you. And figure out V1. Thank you for the follow. Appreciate that. But yeah, and also on that note of Dak missing throws, part of that, and this could be solved with the week of practice, but part of that can also come down to just lack of rapport and lack of repetitions, throwing the ball to newer guys.
Mm-hmm.
Although I
Wilson.
Yeah, I mean it's Gallup and Wilson and Jarwin today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is
Schultz?
Schultz, or is it Schultz? Which one is healthy?
Schultz is healthy.
Schultz is healthy. Jarwin is out. Yeah, Noah Brown.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, what's a Thanksgiving Cowboys game without Witten? You should call him.
Maybe he'll be the announcer.
Maybe. I wonder who is announcing this game, Romo.
We'll see. All right, Ben. So let's figure out what our leans are here.
Let's go. I mean, I think we got to go with the Raiders with the news and.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for Raiders and under here.
Are we trying to go 2-2, or does it just depend?
I don't think it matters. It's Thanksgiving though. It's a fun day to bet a little bit more recreationally, I would say.
If you want to put, that's fine. I mean, I do lean it.
Yeah, I mean these are not official plays. These are just have some action on the game.
Mm-hmm.
Type of plays. So let's head on to the prop market. So on the quarterback side of things, we have Dak Prescott over under 263.5. Derek Carr also over under 263.5. Model has both of these guys over, but Model does like a lot of passing overs. So Ben,
I was leaning Carr's over. I was.
and why is that?
I do believe that they're going to be down a little bit in this game. I also think that they still... I know they don't have Henry Ruggs, but I think they still have enough weapons with Renfro and Zay Jones and Waller. And Waller's starting to kind of get back up to speed. I mean, he had a few games where he was under 50, 55 yards coming off a big game. So I think they're going to be able to move the ball through the air. So I'm going to lean over for Derek Carr. I don't have a lean on Prescott.
Yeah, I think the Dak passing prop is really hard, just with the lack of Cooper and the lack of Lamb on the offense for the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. It could really be a seamless transition, or it could be a heavy reliance on the run game, or it could just be a disaster in the passing game. And I don't really have any kind of good feel for which of those things it's going to be. Mm-hmm. I think that there's a very wide range of potential outcomes for the Cowboys on offense today.
Agreed.
I do think I agree with you on Carr leaning over. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to rushing props. On the Cowboys side of things, we have Dak Prescott over under 11.5, Ezekiel Elliott over under 67.5, Tony Pollard over under 46.5. It's a lot of rushing yards for the Cowboys. Not undeservedly so.
Mm-hmm. I like Pollard's over, Nick.
Yeah, I think that the Pollard over is a good look as well.
That's sitting at, what was it again?
46.5.
46, yeah. It's at first initially, like you look at it, you're like, oh, that's a little high, a backup running back, but he's close to 50%. It's probably 45% snap split between Ezekiel. He's getting a lot of snaps. He really is.
Yeah, so Pollard's snap percentage the last few weeks, 33%, 42%, 39%, 26, 29. The last 5 weeks, whereas Zeke has been at 69, 49, 53, 75, 71. Snap-wise.
A little higher than I thought.
Yeah, I think Pollard's numbers have actually decreased a little bit as the season has gone on. Although at the same time, Zeke's rushing attempts have also decreased a little bit from earlier on in the season. So Pollard has actually only had double-digit carries once since week 6. Mm-hmm. That being said, the Raiders are not all that great of a run defense against running backs. They're averaging almost 4.5 yards per carry allowed, and they allow a lot of volume on the ground as well. About 23.5 carries per game from backs. So I think that there is a lot of room for both of these running backs in the Cowboys, Pollard and Elliott.
Yep, and with CD Lamb out, they could be a little more reliant on the run game today, so that could give Pollard, close to 10. What's his rushing attempts at? It's got to be around 9.5.
Let's see if I can find it. 10.5. But juiced a little bit towards the under.
Yeah. And then T. Cherry said, over under my yards I lit up. 78.
I mean, it all. Are you playing on like a full size football field?
Yeah. How long is the game? Like flag?
Yeah. There's a lot of information that we need here.
Yeah. This is how we set the line. Now I just.
But I'm going over.
It's funny when people ask me a random question, and now I like think like a bookmaker. I'm like, okay, first, what is snow? Are we we have to categorize what snow is first? It's funny, and it snowed yesterday, Nick. By the way,
was that like an official snow?
Yeah, they counted it.
They counted it. It was like there was like 10 snowflakes in the air.
Yeah, you gotta have something to categorize what snow is. So
yeah,
man said I'm going over. That's funny.
No, you're probably a good defensive back. I know you're on track. But yeah, Figure Out TV says Pollard receiving and rushing over. Like receiving plus rushing. That could potentially be a look as well. And especially if we think that with Lamb out, that the backs get a little bit more involved in the passing game as well. We'll take a look at the receiving props in a second and see if we like Pollard's over there as well. I think that's the situation to look for the rushing plus receiving over. So on the Raiders side of things, we have... Where are they? We got Derek Carr over under 6.5. Josh Jacobs over under 46.5. Kenyon Drake over under 19.5. So Ben, any...
Yeah, sorry. I was just going to say, every time I try to predict what Josh Jacobs is going to do, I'm always wrong. So, I don't know. He's a player I have trouble reading.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you there. I don't understand Josh Jacobs. I feel like
me either.
Isn't the impression of Josh Jacobs, like the public perception, that he's one of the best backs in the league?
I think it used to be that, but now it's starting to kind of simmer down, where people are like in my opinion, if you were to rank all the running backs in the league, I feel like Josh Jacobs is literally right in the middle.
Yeah, and I think that might even be overestimating it at this point. He's literally had one good game this year, and his one good game was 13 carries for 76 yards against the Giants. Like, that is by far his best game this year.
Yeah, and he gets a lot of volume.
Yeah, well, the volume's been down recently. Again,
Yeah,
just like Pollard. I mean, 6, 13, 7, and 9 carries the last 4 weeks for Josh Jacobs.
Receiving though.
Yeah, the receiving volume has actually been up a little bit. He's had 4+ catches each of the last 4 weeks, or each of the last 3 weeks.
Do you think when the new head coach came in, Broncos game, that being the first game, did it switch? Do you think he got less volume because of that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, his snap percentage has definitely gone down since that game. So I think that's true as well. At the same time, this 46.5 number does feel a little low.
Yeah, it does.
Also, the model likes under. The model has him at like 36.5. So I think this is tough. The Kenyon Drake number is also pretty interesting. I think this is at 19.5. And Drake has gone over this number 4 out of the last 5 weeks. And the only week he didn't, he had 16 yards. So the one thing about that, though, is that he's doing it on very few carries. The last 5 weeks, he's had 4, 14, and that 14 carry game came... Oh, no, I guess Jacobs was healthy. Never mind. But 4, 4, 4, and 5. Or 4, 4, 4, and 5, aside from that 14. And still going over this 19.5. So there is definitely a little cause for concern that he's getting a little bit lucky on some of these carries.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think if you have a guy who...
I have no clue what to expect there.
Yeah, I might actually lean the under for Drake at 19.5. But if the volume is more like 6 or 7 carries, then that would be a very bad call. So I think it's a fade as well. Let's take a look at receiving real quick. Again, we've got about 4 minutes left for this game to be on pace. So
Receiving is interesting in this one.
Yeah, is there anybody? I guess let's just run through the Cowboys' numbers and see what they look like without Amari Cooper or CeeDee Lamb in the lineup. Mm-hmm. So we've got Cedric Wilson over under 42.5, Dalton Schultz over under 52.5, Zeke at 20.5, Gallup 62.5, Noah Brown 23.5, Pollard 16.5. Definitely some room for some guys to step up.
Sorry, Schultz was one of the first ones you said, right?
Yeah, 52.5 for Dalton Schultz.
52. Nick, I like that over. I do, and maybe it's a little inflated, but at the same time, Dak's been looking to him quite a bit. He's getting targets. I'll be honest, I didn't look into how well the Raiders have been defending.
It's about six and a half catches per game on 8.8 targets per game, 66.7 yards per game against tight ends from the Raiders this year.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, and let's take a quick peek at Dalton Schultz and how his target volume has looked recently. Last game, 6 catches on 8 targets for 53 yards. The week before against Atlanta, this is a game where the Cowboys didn't really have to throw at all. But he only had 1 catch on 2 targets for 54. And the week before that, 4 catches on 5 targets for 54. So Schultz has been like up and down and up and down. His last 5, 79, then 11, then 54, then 14, then 53. So, I mean, that's not actually a real trend. But
he did hit his number last game, though. I was on it. Barely.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 47.
Yeah. So definitely some potential for Dalton Schultz today. Yeah, I think that, man, it's just tough to figure out exactly who's going to get those other targets. Is it going to be somebody who steps up on the outside? Is it going to be somebody who steps up in place of CeeDee Lamb in the slot who's going to get a lot of targets today? And I'm leaning towards kind of what Figure Out was alluding to earlier, that the backs could be the guys who pick up the slack in the passing game. So the Raiders against running backs this year, allowing about 5 catches for 39 yards per game. Wow. So, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott at 20.5 and Tony Pollard at 16.5, I think are both pretty reasonable looks. Pollard's volume has been a little up and down.
The backs could really get more involved in this spot. I think that makes a lot of sense. But I will say, though, Cedric Wilson does get a fair amount of targets. I don't know if he deserves them. I mean, he's all right, I guess. But even last game against the Chiefs, he had a few drops, but they still looked towards him. So that will be interesting to kind of watch for in this one. But, Nick, with Schultz, I feel good about that number regardless if Lamb was in or out, because I believe it was at 46 or 47.5 last week. And I think he has the better matchup maybe from just what you told me about the tight ends on how the Raiders have defended them. So I feel like that's a good number.
All right. So let's do favorite picks for today's game. I know we didn't look at the Raiders receiving props. If anybody in the chat has any specific ones that you want us to talk about, let us know. But my favorite pick is not from those. So Ben, what is your favorite bet for this Raiders and Cowboys game going to be?
Yeah, I like Schultz over 50.5 receiving yards.
53.5?
53.5, yes. Schultz over 53.5.
And I'm going to take another Cowboys receiving over. I'm going to take Ezekiel Elliott over 20.5 receiving yards. I think that the volume will be there in the passing game. I mean, he's had 3+ catches, 5 straight games as it is. And I think that we might see some game flow where the Cowboys have to pass the ball a little more than usual. And the Raiders allow some receptions to backs. So
yeah,
I like
that's a good pick.
I like this Zeke over 20.5.
I like that.
All right, and last but not least, certainly not least, I think the first game is least.
100%.
This one is last. We've got Buffalo and New Orleans. So Money Humps said Bears are beating the Lions' ass today. Red Rifle over. Red Rifle over. Mooney over. Bears team total over. Dalton 8 losing his job again. It's a contract year. Nagy's not calling the plays. Go Bears.
if Nagy is still there, didn't he say that Fields is coming back when healthy?
Yeah, no, I think that the Bears are definitely a better team with Dalton than at quarterback. I was on the record about that earlier in the year. Justin Fields has definitely improved, but I still think that a fully healthy Dalton is better at this point in time than Justin Fields. And I had the Marquis Goodwin over as my favorite play in that game. But Buffalo and New Orleans. So New Orleans at home, with nobody playing on offense, is 6.5-point underdogs. Total in the game set at 44.5. And Ben, the Saints' offense is so beat up right now. Got Trevor Siemian still starting at quarterback, who had like an absolutely disgusting stat line to start out last week's game. And then, of course, just as it goes in the Saints games, there was like 30 points scored in the fourth quarter in a Saints game for the second week in a row. So Trevor, I think Garbage Time is going to be his new nickname, Trevor Garbage Time Siemian.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
But no Alvin Kamara. And Mark Ingram is also on the wrong side of questionable today.
So they got who is it? Is it Jones?
Yeah, it is Tony Jones Jr.
Can someone in the chat tell me where Tony Jones went to college without looking? 'Cause I don't know.
Let's see. I have Jones starting in fantasy today.
Ooh.
Because all of my running backs are out. Kamara's out. Edwards-Helaire is on a bye. Edwards is hurt and on a bye. Edmonds.
Nick, Tony Jones didn't go to college.
He didn't go to... Yeah.
That's it.
It's like...
No. He went to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame? All right.
Smarter than me.
So yeah, so the Saints' offense is a bit of a mess, but the Bills have looked...
Yeah.
I think it is an appropriate way to put it these last few weeks. I mean, so back in week 9, really might have... It really took all the air out of the Bills' momentum, out of their season. Mm-hmm. That 9-6 loss to Jacksonville. They thumped the Jets the next week, but then put up another stinker last week against Indianapolis, a 41-15 loss.
I was on that one, but I didn't think it was going to be like that.
I don't think anybody thought it was going to be like that.
I don't know what's going on with them exactly.
No, I'm not entirely sure either.
The Bills, I can give a team a few games where it's like, hey, you come up and, you give a stinker, like kind of what they did with the Jags. But then you're like, okay, no, that was 2. Like, and we have high standards for the Bills. You start questioning things.
Yeah. I have to sneeze real quick.
Go do your sneeze. But the Saints just have so many guys missing. It's hard not to jump to the Bills -6.5, even though it was 5.5. But the Saints defense, that's something that can keep them in this game, Nick.
Yeah, it definitely can. On the same note, the Saints defense has not been all that great recently.
Yeah, they've actually kind of they've...
And because I have them in fantasy. I picked them up, and as soon as I picked them up, they started sucking. Mm-hmm. D-Babble, thanks for the follow. I see your fantasy question. We'll get to that in a second. But yeah, the Saints D has been human these last few weeks. I mean, they've allowed a lot of points, a lot of yards recently. I can't find them. Where are they? There they are. This is completely unrelated to anything, but I hate how different places use different abbreviations for the teams. I was looking for NO, just like reading all the 2-letter ones, trying to find New Orleans on Pro Football Reference so I could pull their page up. But they're NOR. Who abbreviates New Orleans NOR?
There's another team that has something weird like that. It's like the official I think it's Baltimore, Nick. Or is it Indy? It's one of the two has like a weird abbreviation.
Also, you know what else bothers me? It is, I think it's on ESPN. They have the LA Rams and the LA Chargers. So the LA Chargers are LAC, which makes complete sense. But the Rams are just LA. How stupid is that?
It's no rhyme or reason sometimes.
Yeah. Anyways, the Saints, last 4 weeks, allowed 27 points to Tampa, 27 points to Atlanta, 23 points to Tennessee, 40 points to Philly, 400 yards to Tampa, 336 to Atlanta, only 264 to Tennessee, and 380 yards of offense last week to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Saints D is not what it was at the beginning of the year. So I think I like Buffalo here. I mean, was there a better number earlier in the week? Yeah. Does that make me think that this is a bad number now? No.
It didn't cross a key number.
No, it didn't. It didn't cross a key number, and we have more information now. I'm happy to trade time and a slightly worse number for some better information. That's
100%.
In a lot of situations a trade that I'm happy to make.
And the closing line value crowd may like this a lot. This could potentially get to 7. I really think it could, Nick.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I'm sure that people are going to be on the Bills here, even at 6.5. It's got to be the air quotes public side.
Yeah, it just comes down to, with the new information out, how do some of the sharper bettors that the books respect, like how are they going to treat this game? And I really think that a lot are going to jump on the Bills, Nick. Especially, I mean, if Ingram's out too.
Yeah, that's not confirmed, but I was reading on the wrong side of questionable for Mark Ingram.
But
also, Marcus Davenport is out on the Saints defense, who has 4.5 sacks in the last 3 games.
Yeah, and the Bills, they're a team that maybe this is a little bit of the Chiefs narrative, but it's like, man, they have so much talent offensively that it's scary to try to go against them, even though their performance the last few weeks. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. It really will be.
Yeah, so I like the Bills to grab this cover. What about the total? So total again set at 45 right now. I guess I'm actually showing 44.5 on DraftKings. Let's see what it is elsewhere. I'm still showing a 45 on PointsBet. I'm going to call it 45. Actually, no, let me get Vegas Insider up, see what the consensus is. Yeah, still 45. Okay. So the model has the total for this game at 45.26. So very slightly over. But I actually do think that over makes sense. I think that the Bills' offense is due for a little bit of positive regression, especially considering the Saints' poor defensive performance. It just comes down to the Saints, really. And they have a propensity for putting up 20 points randomly in the fourth quarter to screw your under. No, I'm not salty about the last 2 weeks.
Nick, have both of these two teams' overs or totals gone over the previous 2 games?
Yes.
Still? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious to see, the public looks at little things like that. Just jump on an over, but I have to limit the under, Nick. I just think that with everything going on the Saints offensively.
Yeah, it's scary counting on the Saints to score points.
I'm gonna call it out right now, Nick. Big Taysom Hill game today.
Big Taysom Hill game. Interesting.
Absolutely.
Not a big Trevor Siemian game?
No, but I also think that he's not gonna start, but I think he's gonna get 10 carries at least.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And Taysom Hill is one thing that the model cannot take into account. I can't give it 2 quarterbacks. It breaks.
But
So that's the X factor.
His rushing yards.
Oh, definitely. I'm just gonna throw up Buffalo as our lean here. No total lean. All right, so fantasy question from D Babel: Kareem Hunt, Hunter Renfrow, or Devontae Smith for flex? Any thoughts on that, Ben?
Renfrow is actually, that's more of a conservative play because I don't think Renfro's ceiling is going to be 7 catches, 120 yards for a touchdown, but he's going to get you a good 4 or 5 catches for 50 yards and maybe a touchdown. Like Devontae Smith, he could be a boomer bust. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It feels like it's kind of conservative, but I don't know if that completely helps.
Yeah, and Kareem Hunt is a bit of a wild card coming back from injury this week. He's been out for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a little tough. I guess if you feel like a more certain few points, like a higher ceiling, lower floor is more important to your team this week, then Renfro's the guy. If the potential of a really big game is more important to you, like the rest of your team is a little weaker than your opponent, then Devontae Smith or Kareem Hunt are probably the guys.
Yeah, if you feel like you are going up against someone and he's projected 150 or something crazy, it's probably a little high, but then maybe you throw in a Smith. I think there's a lot of factors kind of that go into it, but I would just go with Renfrow, honestly.
All right, there you have it. Yeah, and Nabil says, my Saints are too banged up. Yeah, they're banged up. So we got 15 minutes, Ben, to get through this game. Quarterback
Jones. Oh, sorry. I just saw Tony Jones on the screen.
So we got Josh
Tony
Allen.
Jones, quarterback.
Josh Allen over under 276.5. Trevor Siemian over under 202. And a half. And the first thing that jumps out is that Trevor Siemian number is so low. But Trevor Siemian is also so bad. Mm-hmm. The model for these really, really low tier quarterbacks, I don't think that the model does all that great of a job estimating their yardage output. I think as far as how the team is going to perform, it's fine, but the yardage output is off. It's too high. So don't look at that 263 number from the model and say like, oh, yeah, that's where he's going to be. Because I don't think that that's the case. At the same time, though, man, 202.5 for a quarterback. He has actually been over this in all of his starts.
Guess what I'm leaning with based on what I said like 3 minutes ago?
The over.
No.
The under.
The under. Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill?
Taysom Hill's
oh, yeah. That's right. That's what you said.
Yeah. Taysom Hill's I think he's going to get snaps. I had a reasoning to this. It's not just a gut. Hold on. I got to pull it up here. Oh, because he's coming off a contract extension. He just signed a deal, 4-year deal. First game. Trevor Siemian is a guy who the Saints don't want on this team moving forward, at least as a starter. I think it makes all the sense in the world that Hill's going to get a lot of touches, and I think that, of course, directly correlates to this under.
So
I like the under.
So thinking about it also, though, from that perspective, did you actually see what the contract entailed? There was crazy incentives in his contract for him basically playing as a full-time starting quarterback. It like more than doubled the value of the contract if he meets those incentives. So I actually think maybe game 1, coming off the contract, the Saints are going to be like, no, you still got to earn it. Like, you got to outperform this guy.
He has.
But has he?
It's Trevor Siemian. It's not.
It's Taysom Hill.
So, I mean, they wouldn't give him a 4-year contract.
Do you know how many passing touchdowns Taysom Hill has in his career?
It doesn't matter. They're gonna run with him. I'm telling you, Nick. Taysom Hill's gonna get snaps today, and it's just gonna cut into Trevor Siemian. I know 202 is low, but I mean, even if Taysom Hill wasn't playing, like, this, to me, seems like a coin flip.
Yeah, I kind of just think that the garbage time dunk down pass makes me have to lean over. So Siemian actually, in his 3 starts, 249, 298, 214. Just because, I mean, he's had to throw the ball a lot. But yeah, I mean, maybe they do give Taysom Hill some runs, so we can stay away from this. I lean over, Ben leans under. Fade spot. Josh Allen.
Nothing with Josh Allen.
I
don't have anything. What do you like?
I kind of like the over for Josh Allen, just because it is the Saints defense that is so hard to run against, and it is a Bills team that or at least traditionally, maybe not so much recently, has been happy to use that shorter passing game as a substitute for the running game. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of that's a recipe for success for them today, is to really put the ball in Josh Allen's hands and let your best player win the game for you. So I think that Allen, whether it's with his hands or with his feet, is going to be a very important piece for the Bills today.
Over passing and rushing, Nick?
Yeah, I think that's probably the play, is if you're interested in it at all, would be the rushing plus passing. And Nassaran, thank you for the follow. Hello, Kappa. Welcome to the stream. Thanks for checking it out. But yeah, we can stay away from Josh Allen.
I don't have a lot to say about Josh Allen.
All right. On the rushing side of things, on the Bills, we have Devin Singletary, 23.5, Josh Allen, 35.5, Zach Moss, 19.5. And there's no Saints rushing props, which actually makes sense because it really depends on if Mark Ingram is playing or not.
Mm-hmm.
But any of these guys on the Bills tickle your fancy? Saints got destroyed by Eagles backs last week.
Yeah.
That was kind of wild.
This was a game when I was looking at props, I just had a hard time getting a read on what I expected, so I don't have a lot to say, unfortunately, with this one.
Yeah, I mean, especially on the Saints side of things, it's tough offensively because we don't even know who's the starting running back is, and then it also has a pretty big impact, Siemian versus Hill, and how effective they are on the game flow.
Mm-hmm.
Which can make it tough for the Bills guys as well. I kind of do think that Josh Allen over has to be my lean, but again, I think that I like the rushing plus passing more. Little hard to tell with the Saints against the backs how well they're going to do. Again, I mean, coming into last week, they were allowing under 3 yards per carry to running backs. And then suddenly Jordan Howard had 10 carries for 63 yards and Miles Sanders had 63 for 94. Or 16 for 94.
Yeah, they...
So I mean, if that happens again, these Singletary and Moss props are flying over.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they're I mean, Zach Moss, 19.5. God, they're so low.
They are, but they're not getting a whole lot of volume. So I mean, Zach Moss hasn't had double-digit carries since week 5. I mean, he's had 8, 3, 7, and 3 the last 5 games. And Singletary in the same boat hasn't had double-digit carries since week 4. So these aren't guys who see a lot of volume, win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's take a look at receiving props real quick. On the Bills side of things, we've got Cole Beasley over under 40.5, Dawson Knox 34.5. Devin Singletary, 10.5. Emmanuel Sanders, 41.5. Gabriel Davis, 16.5. Stephon Diggs, 77.5. Zach Moss, 8.5.
Man, I don't have a lot, Nick. What do you got here?
No, I don't really have a lot either. As sad as it is to say, I think this is a really tough game for the prop market.
Yeah.
And then on the Saints side of things, I'm actually kind of in the same boat. It's just hard to trust what the hell Trevor Siemian is going to do.
Mm-hmm. It really is. I mean, he could surprise us. He could, but
he could. I mean, and there is going to be garbage time. But I mean, these numbers already factor in the garbage time. Mm-hmm. And that's not a guarantee whether that's going to happen or not.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So, favorite bets for this game? Do you want to shop around and see if you can find a Taysom Hill rushing prop? Is that what you're into today?
It is.
Okay.
It is.
Let's see if we can find a Taysom Hill rushing prop. So there's not one on DraftKings, not showing one on PointsBet. Let's check out FanDuel. I'm not expecting to see one anywhere.
To score a touchdown? Should I just get real fucking crazy?
No, you should not.
Oh, man. Part of my French on Thanksgiving, but, man, that would be funny. My best bet of the day is a touchdown prop. Nick never saw that one coming.
No, I mean, I'm not going to stop you.
I'm seeing a plus 430.
For anytime touchdown scorer for Taysom Hill? Mm-hmm. Where's that at?
I see it it was on FanDuel. I'm on the prop shop.
Okay.
So, should confirm. Sorry, I had to change my lineup because I had CeeDee Lamb in there, and I'm like, yeah, he needs to get out of my lineup.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb should not be in your starting lineup today. And yeah, they still do have that plus 430 for Taysom Hill.
I'm doing it.
All right.
Better than Taysom Hill plus 430 touchdown. You know what? To score To
score 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
To have more touchdowns than Jonathan Taylor did last week.
Yeah, that should be they should have a list of like 7 players, and you can bet if they're going to have more touchdowns than Jonathan Taylor did.
So I'm going to just take the Bills minus 6.5 as my favorite bet for this game.
Okay.
I think the prop market here is tough, so I'm just going to take the Bills. And let's do a quick recap of all of the games and our favorite bets. So again, in this Bills and Saints game, favorite bet for Ben is Taysom Hill to score a touchdown at plus 430. Favorite bet for me is going to be the Bills spread, minus 6.5. In the first game of the day, Bears and Lions, Ben's favorite bet was Deandre Swift over, I believe it was 35.5 receiving yards. And my favorite bet was Marquis Goodwin over 37.5 receiving yards. And then in the Raiders and Cowboys game, Ben's favorite bet was Dalton Schultz over 53.5 receiving yards. And my favorite bet was Ezekiel Elliott over 20.5 receiving yards. So that's going to wrap up the stream. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, taking some time out of your Thanksgiving to join us here. We appreciate all of you very much. Thank you again to all of the new follows. Thank you for checking out the stream. And let's go eat some turkey and watch some football.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
We'll be in the Discord.
Yeah, let me drop the link for anybody who does not have it already. You should check that out. AKJ missed the whole stream. Welcome to the end.
It was the best stream we've ever done.
Yeah. So let's hop in the Discord. I'm gonna drop all of our favorite picks in there. as well. So anybody who missed out on the stream can see those. And we will be back on Sunday.
Yep. We'll see you guys.
Catch you next time.